Hi, everybody. I'm Candid Stanisci, and this is NLL Lacrosse Talk. Welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also all smart TVs 2016 forward. Now on Lacrosse Talk, joining me as usual is our co-host Gary Groob and our very special guest Kyle Rubisch of the San Diego Gulls of the National Lacrosse League, and of course the Six Nations Chiefs Men Cup champions. By the way, today we're not allowing him to be on in video because he's much better looking than Gary and I both put together. So instead, we're just going to do him on the telephone, if you will. Hey, Kyle, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, guys.
A little joke there for a bit. We're not that ugly, are we? Well, he can't see us, so he wouldn't know, right, Gary?
Well, he's seen us.
Anyway, listen, we always start with our favorite question, and I think it's the most relevant one because we like to promote the game of lacrosse, and we always like to ask how everybody picked up a stick or picked up an interest in lacrosse in North America. So, how did you, my friend?
Yeah, growing up in Brampton, Ontario, lacrosse was a huge sport, and I was a hockey guy when I was young, and all my teammates were playing lacrosse, so just naturally kind of wanted to play lacrosse with them. And there's so many lacrosse families in Brampton at that time that they kind of guided me to play, and going to Brampton Excelsior's major games and just falling in love with the sport, and it kind of just took off from there, and the rest is history.
When it comes to playing the game, everybody has their preference as to what draws them the most. What draws you the most to playing?
I think it's just, I just think it's how exciting the game can be. In our sport, you have goals, obviously. You have talented athletes. You have amazing goalies. You got hits. You got speed. You have a little bit of everything. I just think the entertainment factor in lacrosse is at one of the top compared to other sports. So I think when you come to watch the NLL lacrosse game, it's just exciting for everyone that's there.
And then the excitement, of course, translate to being on the floor.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. It's there's no better thing than a Saturday night in an NLL arena.
I can't argue with you, and I know a guy who he's in more arenas than, well, I won't make an analogy there. Just he's in a lot of arenas. His name's Gary. You've met him a couple of times. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. So tell me a little bit about the game itself and how the NLL has treated you and how it's changed from your perspective over the short period that I think it's had a lot of decent growth, and there's some opportunity there for. Well, I joked about the fact that lacrosse players aren't going to get rich playing lacrosse, and not that that's the priority here, but do you see kind of an improvement and an acceptance, generally speaking, the sports community?
Yeah, definitely. Like when I first started playing professional lacrosse, there was you couldn't find it anywhere on a TV screen anywhere, and now we have TSN in Canada, and ESPN picks up games here in the States, and there's streaming platforms, so all fans can kind of get access to games, which in the past was impossible to do. And just the growth of teams in different markets has really expanded over the years, and strategic growth too, not just putting teams in cities randomly. There's a lot of strategy and community growing that goes along with it. So the league has come a long way, and it's exciting where it's going.
Gary?
I want to bring us back a little bit. Growing up in Brampton, you went through the Brampton Excelsior's organization and moved your way up there. Now, a lot of people have been listening about the turbulent times recently. Let's talk about more of the good old days and talk about the program itself coming up through it.
Yeah, obviously Brampton is a storied lacrosse franchise. I played my minor lacrosse for Brampton. I played junior A and then senior A for Brampton as well. It was just when I was young, I remember going to games and Jim Beltman and Bob Watson and Chris Driscoll, and you can just name after name, and I just kind of fell in love with watching those guys at major games. And yeah, like Minto Cup runs and Man Cup runs and championships. So yeah, Brampton has a storied history, and they're a young team now and a growing team that I think is going to be competitive this summer as well.
Right. Now, let's talk about some of the coaches that developed you the way you are now.
Yeah, like in my minor days, we had likes of Mark Evans, who was involved with lacrosse for a long time. Gary Walker, who played for both Brampton and Six Nations. They both kind of coached me in my minor days. And then up through junior, we had Brian Beasel, who was a long-time NLL player. And through major, we had Mike Hazen, Paul Day, Dan T, O'Toole. So there's a lot of NLL names there that kind of gave back to the Brampton organization and kind of led younger players to where they are now.
And just to show you how the longevity of that is, that most of those names that you mentioned are still with the organization now in coaching or general manager positions.
Yeah, exactly. You make a good point with that. They've really stuck around with the Brampton organization for a long time, and I've made lifelong friends through Brampton and playing with that team. So yeah, it's definitely holds a special place for me.
Now, when you went on to major series lacrosse, again, you were in the heyday of the Brampton teams, and you won a Man Cup back, I think, 2010, 2009?
2011.
2011, right. Those teams were incredible. Let's just talk a little bit about that kind of those years. And, I think you stayed with them until 2016, right?
Yeah. So my first year with Brampton in Senior A was 2010, and we still had likes of Josh Sanderson and Colin Doyle and Sean Williams and Dan Dawson, and that's obviously super talented. Anthony Cosmo, the list goes on, and we had some serious battles with the Peterborough Lakers back then, and I remember we went to, I think it was either 6 or 7 games and lost in the Ontario finals that year with that talented team. And it was just amazing kind of playing with a bunch of those veteran leaders. And then when we actually were by Dan Dawson and Anthony Cosmo, and those were two kind of vets that kind of stayed with the team. And we had a lot of younger guys that were trying to kind of make the name for themselves and kind of put themselves on the map in the NLL rankings. And yeah, we just kind of went on a run that year with just a younger team and kind of upset Peterborough that year and went on to beat Langley to win the Man Cup in 2011.
Right. And from Brampton, you wound up going over to Brooklyn, and you were part of the resurgence of the Redmen at that time that almost knocked off the Lakers again. I believe they were an overtime goal away in Game 7 from knocking them off, putting a sure scare into them anyway, just before they started their repeat.
Yeah, that's right. Like, obviously playing with the Rush organization for a long time, I had ties with Derek Keenan and a lot of those Whitby kind of players. And so I got traded over to kind of play with them. And like you said, yeah, we had battles with Peterborough and Six Nations, and we could never get over the hump, even though we had some really talented teams. We just couldn't get over the hump, and we got close, but never made it to a Man Cup. But like I said, yeah, with Derek Keenan coaching those Brooklyn Lacrosse Club teams for a few years there, I had a connection with him, and we came close, but unfortunately never got to the Man Cup with Brooklyn.
Right. And Six Nations comes calling this past year, and they get you to come on to an all-star team, just an absolute star-studded team. And off to the Man Cup you went, and this time you won it. What a great series.
Yeah, like you said, it was an all-star team. It was one of the most talented teams I've ever been a part of. I remember I broke my hand. I think it was in 2018, my last year of major, and then everything with COVID kind of took took place, and it kind of interrupted everything with summer lacrosse, and I wasn't really sure if I was going to play again. And then the opportunity to play with Six Nations kind of arose, and like you said, it was an all-star team that was hard to pass up, to say no to that, and to put yourself on a team with the likes of those players, and give yourself another opportunity to win a Mann Cup. It's you can't say no to that. So it was an amazing summer. Going to New Westminster and against that storied franchise and that arena at Queen's Park, and to win my second Mann Cup was an awesome summer.
What's it like to play on that floor in Queen's Park Arena? That's just amazing. But the glare, it seems like that would be a little distracting.
Yeah, the glare wasn't too bad. That was actually my first time ever playing at Queen's Park, and I wasn't really sure what to expect, but it's definitely better than the concrete that we play on in some summer arenas. Sure. It's obviously not as nice as turf, but it has some give. You just got to get a little used to the bounces that come off the wood. But I think New West that gives them that advantage, that playing on it for so long. But no, it wasn't too bad. It's a little different, but once you kind of understand how the ball bounces and get your footing, it's not an issue.
Right. So I want to go back to your schooling, and you went to Dowling College, and in 53 games you racked up 198 ground balls, 116 caused turnovers. Ranked among Dowling's career leaders. Talk about your schooling over there and the program itself.
Yeah, Dowling they were a top Division II school, and coming out of high school, I didn't get too many recruiting looks. So Division II was kind of my route, and there was a lot of Canadian ties there. Our assistant coach was from Huntsville, Ontario, and he recruited a lot in Canada, and a lot of my Brampton teammates in the past had gone there, so I knew a lot of guys. And yeah, it was just it was a great time to be with a lot of your buddies that you knew from Canada down on Long Island, and we were always competitive in the Division II rankings, and it was good teams. We never won a championship. We got to a couple Final Fours, but they ended up winning a national championship a couple of years after I left. So it was cool to see for that program.
Right. You didn't have much field experience going in there, did you?
No, just basically just high school lacrosse, which isn't, as you know, isn't too big in the Toronto area. So there wasn't too much field lacrosse, so it was a bit of a eye opener when I got down to Long Island and had to switch hands, which I've never used my left hand before in practice, and trying to do that. But no, now it's awesome to see how many Canadians now have really excelled at the NCAA level, like especially even Division I. There's abundance of talent there, so it's really cool to see how far like the Canadians in the NCAA have come.
Right, and from really, like you said, no experience, you wind up being on the All-Star team, your first team All-American. So you obviously took to the game real well.
Yeah. I really loved field lacrosse. I played in the MLL for a few years after that, and then Team Canada in 2014 field lacrosse, we actually won the gold medal. That was actually my last field lacrosse game I ever played, so that's kind of a funny story. But I fell in love with the game of field lacrosse down there, and like I said, continued it with the MLL and playing for Team Canada.
Right. Let's get on to the NLL. You're drafted second overall. You go to Boston. What was it like going there? Was training camp what you expected in your first year?
Yeah, definitely. I knew training camp was going to be competitive, and you kind of, as the second overall pick, you kind of get thrown right into it with expectations. So I came in prepared and knew that it was going to be competitive, and I had to bring my best. And we had a really solid team that year. We had the likes of Dan Dawson, Casey Powell, Josh Sanderson, Anthony Cosmo. So with those names right there, you knew there was a lot of expectations with that team. And like I said, being a high pick, I had to be ready and knew that I was going to have a role on that team.
Right. It's funny. The one game I really remember from the Boston was against Toronto. I think it was the second game of the season, and I had Pat McCready on a couple of weeks back, and we talked about the line brawl.
Yeah, that was actually the year before I got there, but that was the year I was there. There was still talks about that line brawl. Obviously, that's one of the most famous fights in NLL history. But yeah, the Boston Blazers against the Rock fight was iconic. I think Doyle was fighting Paul Dawson, if I remember right.
Yeah, that's how it all started. Is early in the game, I think Dawson jumped Doyle, and they fought. And before play got whistled in, the rest of them went. And that was it. That changed the course of the game, really, because Boston lost all their offensive guys and Toronto lost all their defensive guys.
Good old-fashioned game right there.
Absolutely. Just a slobber knocker from head to toe. You know, I remember bringing people for their first time, and they're looking at me like, "Is this what it's like every game?"
I'll be right back.
Sure.
Came back though.
Oh, they did. Oh, yeah, they did. I don't think I've ever brought someone to a game and said, "Nah, this is not for me." They're always looking, and how do I get tickets? How do I get more? Where do I go?
That's funny.
So, anyways, with Boston, after that season, the team disbanded. Bad arena deal, a number of other things. We talked about ownership groups and things like that. You get picked up second overall by Edmonton, and you are at the beginning of that team building itself into what we now know as the Saskatchewan Rush, but into a championship caliber team, which wasn't the team that you first went to.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was upsetting because it was such a good situation in Boston with the team, and obviously Boston's an amazing town. Like you said, the arena situation just wasn't ideal, and it was unfortunate to see Boston leave. But with that, it was exciting to go to Edmonton, and like you said, Edmonton was kind of in an upswing. They were kind of getting younger at the time, and we had so many young guys around the same age, and we kind of all grew up in the league together. And my first year at Edmonton, we didn't have the best regular season, but we ended up going to the finals that year, and we lost to Rochester, unfortunately. But the amount of learning experiences and growth we got with that playoff run and going all the way to the finals, I think it kind of set the groundwork for what came in the future with us, with the Rush organization winning 3 championships.
Right. You gave him a scare that year, though, because I think you were up something like 6-1 at the half, and you absolutely shut him down. And everybody there was just, what the? Where did this Edmonton?
Yeah. Don't remind me. Yeah, we kind of had the game in control, and unfortunately, sometimes that's the way the game goes. And when you're a younger team and haven't had those experiences yet, closing out teams that's the hardest thing to do, especially an experienced team that you're playing. So, like I said, it would have been nice to win that, but I think it kind of laid the groundwork for our team to learn and kind of build towards something, and ending up winning 3 more.
Right. Well, 2015 was, I think, the first one, and something special really happened with that team. The bonding and the gelling of that team. Aaron Bold in net had a really he had a great year and a not great year all at the same time, but he had the incentive to really be that all-star goalie that he became over the next number of years too. The team just rallied, and I remember I was in the crowd for the first and the second championship games, and you could just see it. You know, I know you guys won with a couple of seconds left or with a minute left in the second game, but you could just feel it. You could feel it in there, and the team's confidence was just brimming.
Yeah, for sure. Those teams we were really tight knit. Every guy in that team, that was probably one of the closest teams I've ever been a part of. Every guy had a role, and they kind of knew it. And yeah, like I said, just that locker room was so tight. Boldy, like you mentioned, he had some of his best seasons anchoring us back there for a long time, and we had great defense, and then we had amazing offense. That's when Mark was kind of dominating, Mark Matthews, and then we drafted Robert Church and Ben McIntosh and throw Zach Greer in there, and I could keep going with more names. But it was a talented team and a young team and a close team, and that's a good recipe to success. And winning in 2015 and 16, and then again in 18, kind of shows that.
Yeah,
especially if you want to go on a run.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to go on a run of multiple years, you have to be close, and you kind of have to have that bond where you're in it for the long haul type thing. And if you're going to want to win multiple championships, you kind of have to be on that level with each other.
Yeah, and then
sorry, Frank, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that it's important that a young team find a way to win, because I think it becomes harder if they can't find a way to win quick enough. You know what I mean? There's confidence that's so important. If you can build that confidence right away and you can ride it like a wave.
Yeah, you're exactly right. If you don't find that winning mentality, that confidence, then there's a bit of self-doubt in there that you can't get it done, right? And once you're playing with any sort of doubt in your mind, you're not going to be successful. So yeah, you make a great point there.
I also think you guys did something I don't think has ever been done. Is you won in Edmonton in 2015. You guys relocate to Saskatchewan in Saskatoon, and you win again in 2016. I don't think that's ever been done.
No, I don't think that's a unique situation that I don't think's ever happened in professional sports. But yeah, it was unfortunate. Another Edmonton just didn't work out, and we kind of relocated, and we were moving to Saskatchewan the next year. And obviously, Saskatchewan's a little bit smaller than Edmonton, so we weren't exactly sure what kind of success would be there. But our first game was basically a sellout, and the people of Saskatoon and all of Saskatchewan, they rally behind their sports teams, and especially if you bring in a successful team like we just won the championship. So you have a winning team in there, something that's new and exciting, and we were having success, so the crowds were just pouring in, and
Right.
It was just an amazing time. That first year, it was the hottest ticket in town, and we were selling out arenas, and then to go on that run and cap it off with a championship our first year in Saskatchewan, that was amazing.
Yeah, I think the most credit should go to Grandma Rush.
Grandma Rush, yeah, I don't doubt that. She's been a long time supporter. She's always at games and always waiting for us in the hotel lobby before heading on the bus to wish us luck and give us a hug. So Grandma Rush, yeah, she was number one fan for a long, long time.
Yeah, and still is, for that matter.
Yeah, I haven't played there this year, so I'm hoping in April when we go there to see her, and hopefully she's even though I'm on the other team, hopefully she still gives me a hug.
Yeah, well,
I'm sure she will.
She's the Hazel McCallion of lacrosse.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. How was it told to you guys when you were in Edmonton and you're moving? Was it just brought up, or did you guys know over a little bit of a time when this was going down?
Yeah, I think there was rumblings of it happening near the end of the year, and then kind of once the season ended, it was kind of confirmed, and maybe near the end of the year it was confirmed, and we kind of were like unsure of what the situation was going to be and how successful it'd be, but like I said, it was obviously a success, and the crowd showed it.
Absolutely. One of the things that you guys did, which was cutting edge at that time, which now just about every team does when they come in a league, is you guys grassroots. You guys set up programs. You guys set up things with the younger kids. Got to meet your fan base and build from there. Talk about even before you guys started playing there, about getting things ready so that your fan base was excited to have you in the city.
Yeah, I think it's important. Obviously, you have to connect with the community wherever you're playing. It was nice, kind of. We got to go out there, and there was fan rallies, and got to meet fans, and yeah, just even meet and greets and post game signatures and just getting out there, delivering season tickets to fans, visiting people at their homes. It kind of just builds a bond between you and the fans, and being able to have that personal relationship with the fan base. It goes a long way. And then, like you said, with the grassroots and teaching kids and having clinics and working with the minor lacrosse organizations, it's super important to kind of have that partnership amongst the team and the community.
Right. Now, being friends with Evan Schemenauer gives me the chance to fly in and catch games pretty much at will. So I was able to catch all your championships
Yeah.
over there in Saskatoon. And the strangest one where you didn't win, of course, 2017. That was a weird game, that last game. Up with the lead, pull the goalie. They pulled their goalie, and weird stuff happened.
Yeah, that's another one I hate to bring up, but yeah, that was a heartbreaker. It was something we did for years, where we pulled our goalie to kind of level the playing field when they were pressuring at the last minute there. So it wasn't anything new. We practiced it a long time, and there was just an unfortunate play that kind of backfired, and they were able to tie up the game into the empty netter with seconds left on the clock, and then losing in overtime right after that to lose a championship. Obviously, yeah, it hurts, but again, I think we learned from it, and it kind of gave us that edge and that kind of fire under us to come back and prove that we were still a top team, and it kind of showed it with us winning the following year in 2018. So, right. Yeah, like you said, it was a weird play in a weird way to lose a championship, but I think in 2018 it kind of gave us some fuel to win another championship.
Quite a bit of incentive. I would also say that as a testament to your character is, even though in that year you lost, every single one of you were at Grandma Rush's birthday party after the game. Every single one of you.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. She supports us for so long, and she's at every game cheering for us. So I remember that in the hotel lobby, all the guys went and saw her on her birthday, and even in a tough loss like that, it's important to look after the people you care about.
Absolutely. And the following year, one of the things I remember was Shatler coming in with the trophy, the new the newer NLL trophy, and just slamming it on the bar and going, "Okay, boys."
Yeah.
Before you went off to your other party. But you had to make a trip into the hotel just to, for all of us, which was great.
Yeah, Shats had an epic post-game party after that, rightfully deserved. He was the MVP that year, and he played amazing, and he took the party from the rink to the hotel to the bar, and we had a great time, and that was a fun time. I remember partying with the trophy in the hotel with all the fans. So awesome times for sure.
All right. So you finally say enough with Saskatchewan, and you decide you want some warm weather. Let's talk about the summer and all the speculation, because honestly, I told you in the summer, I thought you were coming to Toronto. I know you wanted to stay closer to home, and I thought this would be a great fit towards winning another championship, and you surprised me. I didn't expect you to go to San Diego.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation about me coming closer to home, but yeah, like I said, it was just speculation. Obviously, it was an option and a strong option coming closer to home, obviously with having a family and a young family, but yeah, you just kind of have to do what you feel is right, and yeah, I just kind of weighed all the options with my family, and San Diego kind of came out on top for us.
Now, Pat Merrill calls you, and you guys go back a long ways. What did he say to you about joining the team, and what your role would be when you get there, and all the rest of it?
Yeah, it was just that obviously they were a competitive team ready to win, and he wanted me to kind of be one of the leaders of the defensive unit, and he thought that we were really close, and convinced me basically how solid this team is and how ready they are to win. And that was my number one thing, basically, is that I wanted to be on a competitive team again. And after, especially after getting that taste of winning again this past summer with Six Nations, it's something that's contagious and something you want again. So, it was exciting to kind of come here and be able to be on a competitive team and have a shot at winning again.
Right. You have a more than competitive team. You have a very good team. That's a great team out there. Again, all-star caliber.
Yeah, everyone knows how talented our offensive players are, and we have a lot of young D guys that might not be household names yet, but I think will be soon. There's a lot of young talent on our D end, and obviously with Chris in net being so young but so talented, and he's having such a good year too, that I think we have a pretty complete team that I think is going to make a pretty good playoff run, and I think we have the tools to be competitive in the playoffs.
How much did your previous experience with a team and being on a young team that needed to learn how to win, does this one replicate?
Yeah, it's pretty similar, but it's the young guys on their team are they already seem so experienced to me, and they're already so competitive, and they're already so they seem so comfortable kind of with their roles already. And then we have a lot of veteran guys too in the mix too, so I think it's a good mix of older guys and younger guys, and it's a tight group too, so I think it's a good balance of everything.
Now, the fan base, when I was out there, what I noticed was they're relatively new, but they're really enthusiastic, and they're very eager to learn. Do you guys do a lot of things with the fans?
Yeah. There's a lot of community outreach. There's a big group of guys that live out here, and they do a lot of school visits and different community outreach, grassroots programs, junior SEALs, coaching. So there's a lot of community work here. And then, like you said, it's not the biggest crowds, but they can get quite loud. Like this year's been really loud crowds. We've had some overtime games that have been extra exciting for them. But no, it's a growing fan base that is really passionate about the sport. I've met a lot of fans here this year, and they're very passionate about it and excited to be at games, and it shows with how loud they can get.
Absolutely. I was really impressed when I was out there with talking with a number of them, and before or after the games, and they really are eager to learn, and they have some field knowledge, and trying to put it all together, with all the box differentiate things there. How is the travel schedule for you? Because that's a whole lot more traveling, going across country.
Yeah, there's obviously a bit more traveling, but it's something I'm used to. I traveled out west to Saskatchewan and Edmonton for over 12 years, so it's a little bit further, but not a whole lot further. And it's just something you kind of get used to, and with the season, kind of when we have some games here in a row, where I'm going to try to spend time out in California here with my family, just to try to cut down on the travel a bit. But
right.
Throughout the whole season, it hasn't been too much different, to be honest. I'm not going to lie and say there isn't travel, because there is, and sometimes there's some long days with flight cancellations and delays and just stuff you can't control. But for the most part, it's just something you get used to and something you embrace.
Right. The one thing really that impressed me when I had a chance to wander around a little bit was your practice rink over in San Diego. Now, that's obviously something you can't have in Saskatchewan, and more or less you can't have here. That outdoor rink is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's state-of-the-art facility, and it's outdoors, and it's right under the sun, and the turf is beautiful, brand new, and the boards are perfect. And it makes it easy to get off a plane and go practice when you're in beautiful sunny weather at a beautiful facilities. So the SEALs have done an amazing job with that. It's amazing. You can just see, like, I was talking to Chris Wardle, who we just picked up, and I was like, did you guys practice here with Colorado, right? He's like, yeah, this place is amazing. And it's nice to have for our team.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing with Chris Wardle coming over, just another all-star piece to the puzzle there, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think Pat wanted to kind of fill every hole that he possibly could, and that he thought that would give us a benefit of winning. So yeah, Chris brings experience, and he's going to be a great addition to our offense.
And if he's able to give some of the guys a little bit of rest for the first time in San Diego's history, you guys might be actually healthy going into the playoffs, which would be scary.
Yeah, we have a bye week this weekend, so hopefully some guys that have some nicks and bruises get some more rest, and we get fully healthy here for the final run heading up into playoffs. But like you said, to be healthy in the playoffs, that's a huge benefit.
Now, you've had quite the international career as well, playing for Team Canada. We talked briefly about your field experience, but you also played in the 2011 World Indoor. You played 2019. You were the assistant captain with that team. A couple of gold medals there. Are you looking to play in the 2024 one?
Yeah, I know there's tryouts for this coming year, and so I played, like you said, I played 2011, I played 2015 in Syracuse as well, and then 2019 in Langley. So every year with those teams, they kind of just picked the team based on the NLL season. So this year, I believe there's going to be more of a like a training camp selection process. So it'll be interesting. There's so much talent. There's so much young talent now too to pick from that it's going to be a tough job for the coaching staff and management staff to pick a team, because you could probably have two Canadian teams and be obviously super competitive. So yeah, it'd be something cool to do my fourth indoor championships, but we'll see what happens, basically, is my best answer for you.
Sure. As long as you're healthy and ready, I'm sure there's a spot there for you.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, we'll see how everything goes, but yeah, there's no shortage of talent, and that's a good problem to have.
Absolutely. I work quite a bit with the Arena Lacrosse League, and what I've noticed is the influx of talent that are NLL caliber that just don't have a home. Do you think that expansion is somewhere in the near future? Because we have so many good players, and guys like you have helped build programs that are now the fruits of your labor are there and needing
Yeah.
places to play.
Yeah, I think expansion. I think we could expand our league even more. Like you said, I think there's some markets that are a good groundwork to be successful. And then, like you said, there's so much talented players that don't have NLL homes that probably should. So I think if you have the right market and all these players that are ready to go, then I don't see why not. And I think it would be a good thing for our league to expand even more.
Yeah. So I've been talking about it for the last couple of years, seeing training camps where there's been 40 guys on the roster, and 35 of them could play at any NLL team, really. And you're only going to carry 21 or whatever. So, there's a lot of talented guys who we don't want to lose. So, they have to do something, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's the NLL. It's a hard league to make because there's only a certain amount of positions, and there's so many lacrosse players and so many guys that probably could be on teams that aren't. So, yeah, there's a lot of talent that could probably fill in for some other teams. That's for sure.
Because really, it's the only sport where you can say the best players in the world, all the best players in the world, are in this league.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, the best box lacrosse players definitely are all in the NLL. Yeah, every time you go to an NLL game, you're seeing some of the best players in the world. That's for sure.
Yeah. Do you see this league becoming full time anytime soon?
That's a hard question. I could see it in the future. I don't know if it's the near future or way down the line. It's a tough nut to crack because there's so many different competition for entertainment out there, right? So you have to get it so that guys can live off of the salaries of just doing that, with the amount of travel and a longer schedule. But I could see it in the future, right? Like, I think it's a great product. I think it's a growing product. I think with it being in the Olympics, will in 2028, I believe, will give some more exposure to maybe fans that haven't seen it before or know about it. So, but like you said, and there's a lot of youth playing lacrosse. So I would love to see it one day. I don't know when that day would come, but it would be cool to see just full-time lacrosse players.
Drill down on the Olympic impact, the Olympic factor.
Yeah, I just think being on that stage and having kids maybe one day be Olympians and that are playing lacrosse now, it's kind of a cool idea. I think people that haven't seen lacrosse or even know that the NLL or exists, that maybe they'll see it on a world stage, that might garner some interest and have someone pick up a stick that may never have in the past. So I just think to be on that stage and it's something special for our sport, and I think it can only be positive for lacrosse.
Yeah, I think also maybe, I don't know, what do you think about the fact that even local people who aren't aware of lacrosse, do you know what I mean? There's people, it's we talk about lacrosse being a very tight knit family, right? Unfortunately, there's a very thin line between that family and other people, right? Maybe the Olympics will jog people a little bit and say, "Oh, you mean this is going on right here?" It's like I used to live in Toronto, and somebody said, "When did you go to the CN Tower?" I said, "Never been to the CN Tower."
Right.
Yeah,
you make a strong point. Like I'm sure there's like a solid luge and skeleton and fan base that athletes are all a part of, but I don't watch luge or skeleton unless it's when I'm watching the Olympics, and probably same for you guys. So like I think lacrosse could do that to people that aren't lacrosse fans, and when the Olympics are on, I'm watching sports that I've never watched but for the stories and to see these Olympians compete and put everything out there, I think it could be related to lacrosse in that same role.
Yeah, like 50, 60 years ago when hockey's basically expanded internationally, it also raised interest in North America, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I think for those reasons, like, I think it'd be great for our sport. I can see it actually growing for our sport, and I don't see anything negative about lacrosse being on the world stage. It's amazing.
So Gary, I was trying to answer your question in a very roundabout way. So expansion, there's a good chance for expansion. It depends how not only it's received, but also the reaction of the lacrosse world after the Olympics and what they do with the extra, I don't know, people who know about the game. Is there an iron that's hot that needs to be struck? I don't know. At that point.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it would help with people that haven't seen the game before. With expansion specifically in our league, is to have a strategic partner where an arena deal makes sense, and you kind of have a groundwork of that. We've seen in our league before where things aren't planned out and it doesn't work out. So I think.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be unique, right? For people who watch the Olympics, like you said, like there's people who watch the Olympics because that's when that's
expansion for us.
Yeah. That watch, the people who watch will not know about lacrosse. And here's another thing that I think is advantageous for lacrosse. The physicality of the game will be unique within the Olympics.
That's true too. Yeah. You don't see much of it other than hockey, I guess, or wrestling stuff like.
Yeah,
it's a unique physicality that many sports don't have.
Because I know that's what gets people the first time they go to lacrosse is the speed and the contact. And Gary can talk to that really well because he sees a lot of new people.
What's your thoughts on sixes and that being in the Olympics?
Yeah, it's a bit of a different style, but I think any sort of lacrosse to get into the Olympics is a positive. I get the idea of having a smaller roster, which obviously logistically for the Olympics and financially makes sense. So it's a different type of game, but I think it's any type of lacrosse at that level. It's happy to see in the Olympics.
Well, it had to be something on a field because a lot of countries don't have the arenas that they can play box.
Yeah.
Exactly. A lot of countries don't have the facilities, and a lot of countries don't have the amount of players, say, that Canada or US have, right? So they need smaller rosters and less players on the field at the same time. So that's kind of, with sixes, that's kind of just the best recipe to get the most amount of countries in the sport.
Now, as a defenseman, it might be a little bit maddening because these scores are so high.
Yeah, it's and there's no face-offs. I believe after you score, you just pull the ball and keep going. So, yeah, it takes a unique player. You need a full, well-rounded player. I don't think I would have the offense skills to play sixes. So I think you have to have someone that's got both offensive and defensive skills, or kind of a more fully well-rounded player to be successful in sixes.
I think a box player would be a little bit more successful than a field player because more or less you can shoot from anywhere on that field and get it on net towards a goal, right?
Yeah, that's true. I have watched a ton of sixes. I know it's exciting, it's fast-paced. So, I'm excited to watch it when it is in the Olympics, to be honest.
From your perspective, then, I know you know, maybe we're asking you tough questions here, but I guess you did play field, so you do understand how field lacrosse affects your feet, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like I think with the sixes, it's going to be kind of a hybrid of a little bit of box lacrosse, a little bit of field lacrosse. So it's going to be a new sport to kind of learn and to kind of have strategic ideas for it. But no, it's going to be exciting to watch. I'm excited.
Right. Now, coaching. I know you do clinics, and I know you've done stuff for San Diego, and you did stuff for Saskatchewan. Do you do any of the coaching?
I haven't thought about coaching down the line yet. I'm still got my focus on playing, but I could see coaching maybe one day in my future. Obviously, I have a son that I want him to be a lacrosse player and a hockey player. So if he wants to play those sports, I would definitely coach him up and all the way up, and hopefully maybe one day once I'm done playing to be involved in this league on a coaching level or something like that.
Right. I'm sure that the Brampton organization would be happy to have you.
Maybe one day.
So getting into the final push, we only got a couple of minutes left. Let's just talk about San Diego and their final push towards the playoffs. They're sitting in second right now and already clinched. Do you rest, guys, or are you full bore trying to get all the home games you can for the playoffs?
No, I think you go full board all the way to the playoffs because this is the most important time to have your team peaking. You don't want your team peaking back in December or January. This is the time where you want to be playing your best lacrosse heading into the playoffs and going against some teams that are still in a playoff race. You're getting their best every single night. So it's going to be some really competitive games down the line here with so many teams still having a chance to make the playoffs, right? Like the standings are so close. So I think this is the time where you put your best foot forward and kind of try to iron out all your wrinkles and tighten up every aspect of your team.
Right. Listen, thanks, Kyle. I really appreciate you taking the time to join us today and talk lacrosse. It was awesome. And we wish you the best of luck for the playoffs and for the future.
Yeah, thanks a lot. That was fun, and I appreciate it. And it was a good time talking to you guys.
Thanks, Kyle. And of course, thanks, Gary.
As always.
For doing this For Gary Groob and Kyle Rubisch, I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching NLL Lacrosse Talk, seen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network for lacrosse talk, news, entertainment, and other sports programming we offer. Check out spanglishworld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. And don't forget Candid Frank Stanisci, 1030 on YouTube. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time. Don't forget to pick up a lacrosse stick. You might just love it.